should be going live. Welcome everyone, this is on Just Restart. I am joined by Brandon from What About Nintendo, and we are back with the podcast. We skipped the last week, and then we came back for a week, and we were on break for like 2 weeks because of the holidays, so like, you know, January's been a slow month, and it's still a slow month in terms of news, but it doesn't mean we don't have things to talk about. So, we're going to get into a whole bunch of stuff, but first, Brandon, how about you kind of let me know how you're doing?
Yeah, I'm doing good. Started a new Let's Play series live on my YouTube channel. So, because I played like most of the Zelda games except the 2D ones. So I'm going back and like filling in a lot of the 2D games I missed. So I started with the original OG NES Legend of Zelda. So that's been fun, but it's really hard, and they don't tell you anything at all. There's no. Like, they just throw you in the game, you're just like, here you go. It's like even less than Breath of the Wild. They're just like, here, there's a land and you can move and that's it. They don't give you any instructions at all. If you go and buy an item, it doesn't tell you what the item does. It's like completely just no hands are held. You can't even see where the hands that would be holding you are. They're just gone. They got shot.
No hands, there's no holding.
No hands.
Nothing at all.
No holding. Nothing.
And
It's super brutal.
What game are we talking about?
Legend of Zelda in the NES.
Oh, right. No, yeah, you were streaming it earlier. I didn't hear the name because I was messing with settings. But it is so brutal, dude. I played it on the I never played it on the original NES, but I played it a few years ago on my 3DS.
Nice.
I had one of the Ambassador Program 3DSs, so I was playing it there. And then for whatever reason, I lost all the data on that 3DS. So I was near the end of the game. I was on the last. I had one more dungeon to do, the last dungeon in the game, and my file got deleted, so I haven't gone back to it.
Yeah, I'm playing it on the
really
Switch. So
okay, so that
getting my money's worth in that online service.
Maybe I could go back to it, but it just sounds so painful.
Yeah,
it's painful, man. I would love it if they were to redo the. You know how they had that tech demo where they kind of practiced like some of the Breath of the Wild concepts in a 2D version of Zelda? That would be really nice to see. Actually, what if the next 2D Zelda is kind of based off that idea? Where they had, like, the world is more interactive, kind of like Breath of the Wild. But of course, not like that simple. Like, it's going to look more like an HD, high-res version of A Link Between Worlds, maybe. Maybe they changed the art style a little bit, but, you know, kind of like something along those lines, but with that dynamic world that you can do a bunch of stuff with, like burn the trees and bushes and cut down stuff, you know, like how Breath of the Wild is, but in 2D. Like
that'd be pretty awesome.
I'd be up for that. I would love it. I also wouldn't be opposed to like if they were to go back and maybe do more of a sprite Zelda game, not sprite, but like toon, like kind of like that. Can you see it? Like, you know, you see that Wind Waker poster I have? Like, what if the next Zelda was that? Like, just, like, art in motion. I would love to see that. That'd be incredible.
Cool.
I would freak out. That'd be... Oh, my God. That requires, like, them creating a masterful piece of art a billion times.
Right.
It's... I don't know. Well, I mean, they could probably create that. I mean, if you look at, like, the Rayman engine, like, that's kind of along the lines of what I would kind of like to see, right?
Yeah,
like,
it's essentially sprites, but they're just high resolution. There's super nice sprites.
Yeah, that'd be really nice to see for a 2D Zelda, maybe. But
I'm so curious where that 3DS remake of what was it?
Link Between Link's Awakening.
Yeah, Link's Awakening went. What happened to that?
I don't think it was.
Oh god, that was
unless we're getting like a 2.5D Link's Awakening remake this year on the Switch.
Right. Maybe they pushed it to the Switch.
Maybe, or maybe it was fake.
Probably fake.
I think it was fake.
Kind of odd for a random rumor though, but you know, I guess it's never been remade, so.
I wouldn't mind a remake of it because I never played that Zelda game, so that'd be a good way for me to get back into it. Like, for example, the only Metroid game I had not played was Metroid 2 for the Game Boy, and they remade it with Metroid Samus Returns. So, and I got to play that game, so now I can say I played every Metroid game in the series. The only Metroid game I haven't beaten though is Metroid Fusion. So I should go back and beat that game. But aside
yeah,
from
I've only beaten Prime. I've played a little bit of Super Metroid and I really liked it, but I've never finished it. I'll probably stream that or something eventually.
That's a good idea.
It was really fun though. I liked it a lot.
I also I've beaten the original Metroid, but I never played Metroid Zero Mission, which is kind of like a remake of the original Metroid, but it adds like extra stuff, like extra fights and areas. So along with obviously way better graphics and mechanics. So I guess you could technically also count Zero Mission in there for me. So
yeah, I hear the original is like not even worth playing anymore because Zero Mission is like the same but better, and then literally every other game is better than it. It's kind of like the original Mario. It's not really that good anymore. Didn't hold up.
Same thing with the original Zelda.
Yeah, well,
yeah.
It holds up pretty nicely, but yeah, it's.
I mean, none of those games are bad. They're just brutal. They're brutal, and there are other games that are similar, that are more aesthetically pleasing and have more fine-tuned mechanics.
Yeah.
Just kind of like basically the crux of the issue for the debates we've had with Monolith 64, where we talk about how Mario Odyssey and Mario 64 or Ocarina of Time versus Breath of the Wild, like, you know, they've had years of advancements that kind of, you know, the comparisons are hard to make because of that. But yeah, let's see what you guys are doing in the chat. We got some people in the chat already. 773R, he's saying that Donkey Kong Country Returns is vastly superior to Tropical Freeze. That is interesting. To me, it's like one game. It's like one big game to me, in my memory, because I played them both years apart, but they both felt like a Donkey Kong Country game. It'd be interesting to go back to both of them because I really enjoyed both games. I
didn't ever beat Returns, but I've played a few levels of it, so I can't fully say. But
I don't remember which one I played more. I think I played more Returns actually. I think I got close to 100%ing it. I got close to 100%ing both. I didn't 100% either, but I got close to doing both. And I think I just got distracted and I never got back to it.
My brother had Returns, and I played it a bit, and I was like, it's okay. I'm just gonna go play Tropical Freeze again some more. So it just didn't hook me as much.
If I see Tropical Freeze available for $20, I'll get it on the Switch. No, I won't. Yeah. There's too many other games I need to get.
Yeah, there's too
many
other
games. I already
have
have it on Wii U, so if I ever want to play, I get to go back to play on the Wii U. Maybe $10. I'll get it for free. I'll get it for free. Yes.
No, I reject it for free. I don't like free games.
No, someone else can get it. Yeah. Hey, there's Super Chris. Yeah, I agree. Both are great games in terms of quality. Let's see. Savage64, hello there, sir.
Yo.
Brandon the Stallion. So, Brandon the Stallion saying, did you hear about the Nintendo Direct leaked for January 24th? The tweet was deleted from Twitter. Really? Brandon the Stallion says, yep. I don't know.
Wait, are they saying Nintendo accidentally said so and they deleted it?
No, I don't know whose tweet was deleted.
Because any random dude can go on Twitter, make a leak, and then be like, oh, I deleted it. So, yeah. It's like...
If you could shed some more light on that story, we'd love to hear it. But 24th is possible. Any Thursday.
Right.
Any Thursday of January is a decent prediction until it's wrong.
Like, I know I have videos planned for that day, but I don't care. You can screw up my plans to put a good old Nintendo Direct out there. I wouldn't mind too much.
A lot of people follow Pixelpar. He's a cool guy. He has some sources, supposedly, and he likes to tease things in very cryptic manners. And people kind of always assume every single tweet he makes is a cryptic tweet. And I think he doesn't like that because he doesn't always mean to be cryptic. But
I had a sandwich today. What does that mean?
Every week he's had a poll saying, "Oh, this is the week of the Direct," and he puts like yes, maybe, and then it's like, and no, still yes. So this is the third week in a row he's doing that. But maybe this is the week. This is the week. I don't know, man. I would like it to be, but I'm hoping because I made a whole video saying, yeah, I'm pretty sure the Direct's happening this week, and I went back, I did research, and I'm like, look, there's all these reasons why there needs to be a Direct really, really soon. So I would hate to be wrong, but, you know, reality's reality, so whatever happens, happens, and we'll see. But it may be this week, it may not be.
The latest I think they can pull it off is like the first week of February.
I think the next direct we're gonna get is going to be January 24th, 2020. Yeah.
No, it's gonna be July. Remember when I?
Oh right, your July prediction. Exactly. I see there. Mastermind, hello. Cloudy Mind Gaming, Vilbeard. Cool. The whole. Well, I don't know about the whole crew is here, but a lot of people are here. Oh, Liam Geary just subscribed. I don't know if you're watching, but welcome. So let's get. Oh, look, Mastermind worked early today, so he can hang out with us. Perfect.
Yo.
Perfect from the beginning.
Nice.
All right, so let's get started with the topics then. All right, the first one, and of course we can always go out of order, talk about different stuff. There's always stuff to talk about, but Mortal Kombat 11. There's actually been some interesting things to talk about here. Let's get into the more official stuff, and then we can maybe get into some of the controversy that's been around the YouTuber Nintendo fanboy community. But first off, Mortal Kombat 11, it's been confirmed that the port for Mortal Kombat, it's still on pace to be coming out, at least in most areas. I think it was delayed in Europe, the Switch version. I'll have to double check if that's confirmed, but I heard that. Right. But most of the
all
areas...
I've heard is rumors. I haven't seen any official information, so...
Yeah, it may just be rumor. But at least the Americas and Japan, it's slated for the same day as the other systems, I believe. Hopefully it is everywhere and the rumor's wrong. Hopefully. But the real news here is that it's being ported by Shiver Entertainment. And they were responsible for some sort of Scribblenauts game and I believe Mortal Kombat X on the PC or something. They have a little bit of history with work. They've worked on a Mortal Kombat game before. So they're porting it over, and they were kind of talking about how they really liked how the Joy-Con played. It worked surprisingly well. And they were asked, hey, so how are you going to get this game to run well on the Switch? Well, they said they want to prioritize frame rate, but in order to do that, they're going to have to rework some of the geometry. So it's going to be interesting to see, but especially because if the game's going to still be at 60 FPS, I'm going to really appreciate that. Right. I believe Dragon Ball FighterZ is also a game that was ported from the other versions over to the Switch, and that game's still at 60 FPS because it's a fighting game. That's what's most important. So, and it looks pretty good from what I've seen. And hopefully this game is also really similar. A lot of people are saying Mortal Kombat 11 is a beautiful, beautiful game. From what I've seen, it looks really good. I hope Shiver Entertainment does a good job. I don't know. But, I mean, Brandon, you've kind of inputted your thoughts throughout what I was saying, but do you have anything to add to that?
Yeah, I'm curious. It's weird the way he described it because when asked what he was downgrading, all he said is there's tricks to the geometry or something to that degree. Like, they're changing the geometry. But it's weird because he didn't say anything as to, like, resolution or particle effects, because that's a big, like, when you go and you see the debut trailer for Mortal Kombat 11, you notice right away that there's, like, a million different effects going off, and they look really good. And you're like, you didn't talk about those at all. You didn't talk about literally anything other than just they're changing the geometry. And so I'm just like, that's like the most basic thing. Like,
well, I actually like what he's saying because it sounds like they're doing more than just moving the scalars around. It sounds like they're actually reworking how the game runs on that system. They're rewriting the code and stuff and all that jazz. I like the sound of that. We'll obviously kind of have to wait and see. But I'm optimistic. I mean, there are ports that we've seen already on the Switch that, sure, they look worse. They do. They run worse. They do. But if you're not having a side-by-side comparison, they look pretty close. Like, for example, Starlink. That game's crazy, man. I've been playing Starlink. I love Starlink. I got it for $30. I don't know. Yeah, I showed you guys. I showed you yesterday, Brandon, but I didn't show everyone else. But, like, this thing is so freaking cool, man. I got the whole game, $30, along with this on Amazon. And, like, look, it comes apart. It comes apart. Wait, this also comes apart. This comes apart. And then you could, like, put it on backwards and forwards, and then the guns could be on upside down as well, and all around, and, like, it shows the exact configuration you put. Like, this, exactly how it looks, is how it's going to look in the game. And even this part here glows blue when you're playing with it. I don't play with it really. I play with it for like the first couple hours. I just play digitally because I can play with a Pro Controller and you can change it all around in my start screen. But the game runs and looks great, and I think it's a beautiful game. It's a big, colorful, open world space flight game with tons of combat and things going on. And I've been playing on the Switch. I don't feel like it. I mean, it does. There are some things that have been changed around. Like I've noticed when I switch into portable mode, the resolution takes a big drop. There's a big drop when I switch to portable mode, but it's usually kind of just like an adjustment, and then after a couple moments, it feels and looks fine. So I mean, you know, my point is just that there can be big crazy ports on the Switch, as we've talked about ad nauseum already, but as long as you're not holding them like side by side, like they look pretty good. And I expect the same for Mortal Kombat 11. It's going to look like Mortal Kombat 11, and it's going to play great. That's what I expect.
Yeah, I definitely think they're going to target 60 FPS, especially... Do you know if Mortal Kombat's ever had cross-platform play? Because if it has, like...
Wait, what?
And they plan cross-platform play.
Which game?
Mortal Kombat, just any of them. I said 11 on accident.
I'm going to say no, but I don't know.
Okay.
I'm just going to say no
but if
because
they do want to do that, then they're going to need to keep the frame rate the same. Like, they have to. But I don't see them sacrificing frame rate at all. Like this, I don't think there's any way.
It sounds like they're shooting for 60 based off the interview. So
yeah, because this specific question was like, how are you going to maintain frame rate while changing the graphics or something like that? So it was very big emphasis on maintaining the same frame rate as the other versions. But yeah, the fact that he only said geometry is kind of gives me hope, because it's like, oh, maybe they're just changing around some kind of stuff. And they're being smart about it, where they're changing kind of more stuff in the background instead of more stuff that you're going to notice, like character models.
I'm just saying, you could literally have the amount of polygons, and while it will be noticeable, it'll still look pretty much the same. You can literally have it. Like, you see that big number, cut it in half, the game's going to still look pretty much the same. You will be able to tell, but it'll still look pretty much the same. And I'm not saying they're going to straight up just cut the polygon count in half, but I'm just saying, hypothetically speaking, it will look pretty similar. I'm not concerned. I think it's gonna look fine. We'll see, right? We don't know. It could be a shit port job. That happens, but I have a feeling this is gonna be fine. I think they know. They may be very well aware that the Switch version could be the better selling version. So I don't think they're gonna just, you know, they're gonna make sure it's good. I feel pretty good in saying that. And I mean, the game's coming out, what, in April? Or May?
I think it's April.
I think it's April, yeah. I believe it's April, yeah. So April 23rd, actually. So
something like that.
Really, it's only a few months away. Yeah. And I imagine we will get some Switch gameplay really soon, and that's going to be interesting to talk about when that happens.
Definitely doing graphics comparison as soon as that drops.
Yeah, look forward to that, guys. Let's see. I got some interesting things in the chat here. So Vilbeard saying, well, actually Sabbath said first, I'll go in order. He said, it's cool to see Mortal Kombat back on a Nintendo console. 100% agree, Sabbath64. It's been years, it's been over a decade since a mainline Mortal Kombat game. There was one on the Wii, and before that it was also many years, and like it's been a long time, but hopefully from this point forward, Mortal Kombat, along with a whole bunch of other big-time multi-platform games, will consistently be on Nintendo consoles day and date. So
it's nice to see a lot of series that have just missed Nintendo systems for a long time come back. We've seen a lot of that on the Nintendo Switch. Third parties who haven't touched the system in years and years, like Bethesda, all of a sudden putting just all the support on the Nintendo Switch, so which is really, really cool. Yeah,
absolutely. So Vilbert was saying they will be reducing the polygons of the guts. Maybe. I think he's joking, but maybe.
Might actually be true.
Maybe true. Yeah. Then Stat was saying Mortal Kombat 11 with no blood or gore, exclusive to the Nintendo Switch.
Oh, God.
That brings us to the interesting topic, although I see you guys are talking about some other interesting stuff in the chat. I'll get to that in a moment. But, so, Brandon, you heard about it, right? About the video that Switch Force made?
I've heard of it. I didn't actually see it.
Okay, well, one, I'm gonna give you my 2 cents, right? My opinion is the unpopular opinion. So You know, just gonna put that out there right now. No, I'm not saying that Mortal Kombat shouldn't have everything that's in Mortal Kombat 11 100% needs to be on the Nintendo Switch. I do not believe in the premise that Nintendo game system should be kiddie and then there should be a limitation. No. Whatever the game is, that's what the game is. All games should be on the Switch. That's just how it is. There's a reason there's an ESRB. There you go. If you're not following the ESRB, that's the parents' fault. It's just that simple. But where my opinion is unpopular is that I'm not a fan of the bandwagon hate that this channel is getting. So Switch Force I actually watch. I don't like every video they make. I'm like, sometimes I'm kind of like, really? Do you have to go for that? Or like, you know, sometimes I feel that way. But, you know, basically there was a discussion video. It was a pure discussion video. Apparently they got a chance to play Mortal Kombat. And the topic they said, what they chose was, should there really be, they posed the question, should there really be blood and guts on the Switch in Mortal Kombat, or rather should Mortal Kombat be on the Nintendo Switch because of the blood and stuff? And obviously that's where people got upset, and they're getting a lot of hate for it because they posed the question. Now there's two of them, there's Zach and Gabe. I don't remember who's who, but I know the main one, he was the one that was saying, I don't know if I feel that this is okay, there's just something that feels kind of weird about it. And he's the one that's getting all the flack, right? Like, this is the big reason. He's getting a bunch of flack for this. But of course his partner's like, no, like, you're wrong, right? But they had a civil discussion. He wasn't like making fun of him in the discussion for. He just said, I disagree. They had a civil discussion about it, and they came to a fair conclusion. And it's not like they were spreading misinformation. They just posed a question that, a lot of people didn't like. And I also, when I saw that, I was just like, okay, I feel like this is whatever. I didn't love the video idea, but I also don't think they deserve to get a whole bunch of hate about it. I feel like people are kind of jumping on the bandwagon with it. And that's where my opinion is unpopular, because a lot of people think that they deserve all of the hate and that they should just be chastised for it. That's where I'm kind of like, I don't know about that. But, you know, to just kind of go to the topic, though, I think Mortal Kombat 11, I'm really happy it's coming to the Nintendo Switch, because it goes to show you how things have changed. Like, now Nintendo's going to get all the games as they should be. There's no censorship. Mortal Kombat has a history of being censored on Nintendo systems back on the Super Nintendo. So now that's no longer an issue is great. So I'm super happy about that. I hope it stays that way. In fact, Nintendo, things are kind of changing. Like, now we're hearing reports about how Sony might want to be kind of censor a lot of the stuff in their games, and Nintendo's like, hey, let's just put a whole bunch of weird pornographic eShop games. Like, that's the reality we live in now. And I think it's great, because I prefer there to be no filter with Nintendo. I think every game should be available. There should be an ESRB, because not everyone of all ages should play every kind of game. But you know, I think it's fair. But what do you think, Brandon?
I just think it's a weird question to ask now. Like, I get Mortal Kombat's really, really violent, and it's more violent than any other game on the Switch, but there have been violent games on the Switch.
Oh my god, my phone.
Oops. But yeah, like Doom, you got like Doom guy ripping apart demons and shooting their heads off and chopping them in half with chainsaws, and then you got Wolfenstein, where people are getting their heads chopped off right in front of you while you're forced to watch, and like, you got all these like violent games on there, and they're like, why is this being asked now? I'm like, spend other violent games. And yeah, Mortal Kombat's definitely more violent more often than those games, but there have been really, really violent things in other games. So I just think it's a weird question to be asked, to be honest. It's like, if those other games fit, then I get this fits as well. It's like, yeah.
And I want to address the chat, because like I'm seeing, like for example, Saf said he was one of the people who disliked the video. And look, you should just, if you see something you don't like, dislike it, of course. I just think, you know, some people are just, they don't even watch the video, they hear about the hate, and they just go and attack them. I think, you know, if someone has I guess personally, when someone has a different opinion from me, I don't just jump on them for it. You know, I think about it, I talk about it with them. So, you know, that doesn't mean you shouldn't dislike it. Like, the rating system's there for a reason, right? Like, so, you know.
Yeah, you can disagree with them, that's fine. You just shouldn't hate somebody just because they have a different opinion than you. It's ridiculous.
Now, if they're doing something that I think is, like, straight up wrong, like, if they're, like, I don't know, like, lying. Like, if they're, like, spreading a false report, or if they're, like, doing something unethical, like, that's different. Like,
yeah, that's like, completely different.
That's completely different. You shouldn't just give them a dislike. You should flag their video if they're like stealing or, you know, hurting somebody in some way. Like, that's just wrong, you know. But it's
Logan Pauling it up. Spam that.
Kind of crazy how that is. The one I'm sure most of you know about the video we're talking about. There's the one video that was in the Suicide Forest. Like, I don't even know how that got on trending. Like, that should have been flagged immediately.
Yeah.
That was crazy, for sure. Crazy. But, you know, yeah, I'm just, you know, just to kind of sum things up, though, I'm glad that Mortal Kombat 11 is coming to the Nintendo Switch. I think this is good. This is really good, and I'm looking forward to it. I haven't gotten Mortal Kombat in a really long time. One of my first like gaming memories is Mortal Kombat on PC, like back in the early '90s. Like, I thought it was so cool. Like, and like this. Who was the guy that has like the 6 arms?
I don't know. I hardly played Mortal Kombat, to be honest.
Oh, well, I thought it was. I remember.
I'm looking forward to getting into the series with 11.
Yeah, I'm gonna be getting back into it. It's been years for me, but yes, Goro. Thank you, Sabbath. Thank you. I'm looking forward to it, man. I think it's gonna be great, and it looks beautiful in a very gory way.
Right. I think I will get it onto the Switch, honestly. If there's not crossplay, I'll definitely get on the Switch so we can like play online together, depending on how the online is.
We will see. We'll have to wait and see how the versions turn out. I will prefer getting it on the Switch if it doesn't suck on Switch, because since it's a fighting game and it's arcadey, like it's very pick up and play, have a couple rounds. I would prefer on the Switch because I can play it portably and just kind of play in small spurts. So, you know, unless the Switch version sucks, but I have a feeling it's not going to suck. But we'll see how that turns out. Yeah, I saw some of you guys talking about some characters though. I don't think it's going to happen, by the way. But you know, I'll just entertain the idea at least. Mastermind saying maybe Ed Boon will add a Nintendo character like Namco did with Link in Soul Calibur 2. I would love that. Savage said Link in Mortal Kombat 11, maybe. Cloudymine Gang said Ganon and Ridley in Mortal Kombat 11, which I think would be more fitting. Ridley, dude, can you imagine a fatality with his tail? Like, he basically had fatalities in the Smash, the E3 Direct, like when he did to Mega Man and Mario. Like, I would love to see something like that. Would be a crazy crossover thing to do. I
just can't see Nintendo letting their characters get ripped apart. Like, I don't know.
Ridley fits so well, though.
Ridley is like, if they're, I mean, like, I don't definitely think they wouldn't put Link in there, or like Mario.
Ridley, though.
Ridley, I think, would be the
perfect
maybe one that they could put in.
His body is basically what you see in every fatality. Like the tail, like it looks just like Scorpion's, like, you know, his whip with the chain and the blade. Like, come on, like Ridley would be perfect, I think.
Awesome.
Yeah, Mastermind, I agree. Nintendo's be hardcore again, and they have been, I feel like. So I really appreciate that, and also I agree with you, Sabbath, that there's a good amount of M-rated games on the Switch. Bayonetta, that's a great point. Wait, what Super Chris is saying? If you talk about Mortal Kombat at school, you became an instant celebrity. Well, I mean, you know, once upon a time, talking about bloody, gory games was just considered cool.
Yeah.
I feel like, I don't know if that's changed. I don't go to grade school anymore, but like, just whatever. If a game's good, that's why it's cool, not because of the blood or whatever. It's just if it's cool, it's cool.
Yeah, I'd imagine it's still the same, where young, like, teens kind of are still all super edgy and they're like the only play M-rated games. Probably still the same. It's kind of how it was when I was that age. Everyone was just like, oh, you have to play Call of Duty or you're a piece of shit. I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna go play Mario. They're like, how dare you?
Bro, I was one of those kids I remember literally in middle school, I had a cafeteria lunchroom debate about which console was more powerful, the Nintendo GameCube or the PlayStation 2. It wasn't supposed to be a debate because I knew even then that it was factually incorrect to say the PS2 was more powerful. The GameCube is more powerful. For years, I still sometimes occasionally someone's like, oh yeah, the PS2 is way more powerful than the GameCube. That's just factually wrong.
That's really,
It's
really
wrong,
funny.
but I guarantee you, I've heard so many people tell me otherwise and swear to it. Swear to it. Like, one of the reasons why I'm like so like about misinformation, like, no, that's just not true. It's not about what you like, it's about what the facts are. And the facts are
Right.
the GameCube was more powerful, but it had this huge stigma of being the kiddie system, and yeah, a lot of the third-party games didn't, because of the small disc, they didn't have the best like audio quality, they didn't have online, so there was a stigma with third-party games even on the GameCube. But
Right.
even in middle school, man, I had those struggles like debating with people like about facts, which whatever, it's done. 6th grade is over. I'm a grown man. Now I can just talk about it with people on the internet instead.
You think after having not enough storage with the N64, they would have made sure they had enough to fit the games on with the GameCube? But no,
it was a
they
jump
did the
though.
same issue.
It was a jump though.
Yeah, but everyone else made a bigger jump. It's the same. Well, I mean, the N64 was a bigger cartridge too. It just was not enough.
They made jumps. They just didn't make jumps large enough for the liking of.
You think after the
developers.
last time they were like, "Oops, well that wasn't enough." You think they would have made sure this time?
The Wii
But
was
no.
good.
Yeah. Ever since then they've been good, but it's like 2 generations in a row with the same issue. You
Well,
think they would have?
it's actually kind of always been it wasn't an issue on the Wii. So there's always been like a different issue. The Wii, like, they had dual layer discs, which were perfect for standard definition games. The problem? They moved on. The industry moved on to HD, so that didn't work, right? On the Wii U, like the Wii U had some sort of proprietary blue. It wasn't Blu-ray exactly, but it was basically Blu-ray. But it was a proprietary version by Nintendo. It was a cool looking disc because it had like the curved little edges. I really liked it. But the Wii U, it had a great GPU, but the CPU in it was basically just 3 old GameCube CPUs stacked together that were overclocked. And it was very outdated. And because of that, there was a bottleneck. There was a whole bunch of porting issues for that reason.
Yeah.
And now on the Switch, even though the Switch is doing a lot of things right, it is still using cartridges, and that does create some limitations. So, like, it's basically Nintendo likes to beat to their own drum, and they don't do exactly what third parties want them to do. They think about what's more important for their vision of their system, and then they try to kind of adjust accordingly after that. Right? Cartridges make the most sense for the Switch because it's a portable device. Putting a disk drive in there would just make 0 sense. There's a reason why Sony dumped their UMD from the PSP when they moved over to the Vita, because discs just weren't a good idea for portable devices. But cartridges are doing a lot better now because that technology is caught up to discs. It's still not there, but it's a lot closer to the point where it's become manageable for the most part. You still hear developers complaining about it, but not as much.
Yeah, it's definitely faster. The problem is, like, storage wise, it's been not very good. But they did just come out with a 64 gigabyte one, so it's getting on par now. With
what Nintendo needs to do is they need to
just expensive.
They need to like patent their compression technology and share it to everyone. It needs to become like an open source compression technology, like the way Unreal is used by everyone. Even though Unreal made it, Nintendo should have like, oh, here's your compression app, like, because Nintendo's is the master of compressing their games and not losing quality. Like, they
should just open up an extra studio, and all it does is take in third-party games and then compress them for the Switch version.
Yeah, exactly. I heard that for Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, I might get that number wrong. I brought this up before, but the compression, there was mentioned in one of their interviews an interview related to Smash Bros. Ultimate and its development, that the compression technology from the Wii U development cycle is like at least 4 times better. So like, so with 10 gigabytes now would have been 40 gigabytes on Smash Wii U. So they think it became way more efficient with how they could store content.
On the Wii U, they were already slamming some serious content into those gigabytes, and then it's just like, if they'd upgrade it again, it's just like, ugh.
Yeah. It's just interesting because, like, a lot of a lot of people who don't really understand how data works for games, when they see the storage spaces for Nintendo games, they're like, oh, this game's really small then. And it is in terms of storage space, but that doesn't mean the content of the game is lacking compared to games from third parties. That's not... No, it's just Nintendo is really smart about their compression and stuff. Like, there are random things that just kind of create a lot of storage issues on disc and things like that, and they want to have the whole installs and on the other systems. And there's a whole bunch of stuff with that. We'd have to have like a dedicated video like talking about every reason why there is storage issues.
The good thing about the Switch is it uses fast the memory, and it's really fast, so it can unpack and uncompress data very quickly, whereas like the Xbox One, the PS4 just use standard hard drives, so they're really slow, and they can't. If you compressed it, you'd have to like be loading all the time and reloading. Like it just, there'd be like loading bars and shit in the middle of gameplay. Like, it'd be bad. Like, if they had SSDs in there like the Switch does, they compress it all day long, but the Switch, it's like the Xbox Ones just use standard, super slow hard drives, so they can't do that. It's like, oh, Nintendo, knowing what they're doing, they'd be smart putting that good memory in there.
Yeah, it's very smart by design. It's a shame that we can't get voice chat on the system, but that's a whole other issue.
Oh, God.
Yeah. Let me see. Console wars were still a thing back in the early 2000s. Yes, that is true, Super Chris.
Console wars are still a thing now.
A KSI soldier to destroy. Hello there. Sinus Joe, how's it going? Scorpion for Smash? It's a possibility.
I could see it.
I
feel like if he was going to get in Smash, though, they would announce you think they would have announced him first?
Well, well,
unless he's
we'll see how things come out, because we are going to get the Piranha Plant next month, and we'll see. Maybe Challenger Pack 2 is Scorpion. I have a feeling it isn't, but we'll see.
It's just weird. Do you think they would have prioritized making him first to go like really close to when Mortal Kombat 11 is gonna launch?
But what if Challenger Pack 2? There's no way Challenger Pack 2 comes out in April. I think, because if maybe Challenger Pack 1 comes out in April.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I feel like if it was, wouldn't they have prioritized making him 1 and then have announced the Joker later?
Well, they can make the announcement of Challenger Pack 2 around April, though.
True.
And that's
just weird.
I don't think it's Scorpion, so,
I
don't think it is. But I'm just saying it might be possible that they could announce Challenger Pack 2, and hypothetically, maybe it is Scorpion, and it's right in time to hype up the Mortal Kombat 11 on the Switch, and like, oh, but I just don't think it is, because like, it's a fighting game, like two different fighting games, and
kind of makes sense though. Maybe they announce it because like if they release them around the same time as MK11, then it'd be kind of distracting. Just like, oh, I want to play MK11, but there's also DLC for Smash. It's like, oh, which fighting game should I play?
Yeah, so I don't know how that'll work out. I just don't think it's happening. But maybe. I mean, if they do it a few months apart, maybe then it would work out.
Yeah,
we'll see.
I think if they announced it around the release date and then release it a few months after, I think that'd be fine.
I also don't think they care too much about the timing, because the Joker reveal. People are buying Persona on PlayStation right now because of the announcement.
Yeah, I almost bought it.
I almost bought it too, but it was $50. I'm kind of waiting for a price drop. Yeah. I might pick it up. I heard my friend got it for $20 at GameStop, so I might do that too. Oh. On PS4, just so like I just don't, and I feel like they had to be aware that they were definitely going to help sales for Persona as a whole, even on other platforms. So I don't think they care that much about it. They care, just not that much. Yeah, we'll see. But let's move on. We've kind of dwelled on Mortal Kombat for quite a bit, surprisingly, for a decent amount of time. Of course, we've talked about different stuff in between, but we've definitely covered it, I think. But so let's talk about the recent interview from the Sakurai and Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. So apparently, there's a few different things I want to kind of go over that came from this interview, but I'm kind of just titling the topic that Decidueye was almost in Smash. So apparently, at one point in the planning, they were almost going to add Decidueye instead of Incineroar, but as it turned out, we got Incineroar instead of Decidueye. How do you feel about that, Brandon? Do you think that's You think that was a good decision?
I mean, it makes sense because Decidueye is already in Pokken, so, you know, get more representation for more Pokemon and more fighting games. But I would have liked to see Decidueye instead, because he's like my favorite Pokemon. But, you know,
I also think Decidueye is a much cooler Pokemon than Incineroar. But I do like the way they handled Incineroar in Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. I think he's a fun character. Really fun I appreciate that he's another pretty cool heavy character. Like, Smash Ultimate added some pretty good heavy characters like Ridley, like King K. Rool, and Incineroar. And, I mean, they made Ganondorf better as well. Like, the heavy characters are making a comeback.
Oh, yeah. Heavy characters are definitely some of the best characters now.
Right, but I agree that Decidueye is the cooler design as a Pokemon.
Yeah.
But we have Incineroar, so that's just the way things turned out. But I do want to kind of go over some of the little tidbits that came from that interview. There's a few different things. I'll kind of read them off and we can kind of talk about each one. The first one obviously being about Decidueye, you know, that he was chosen as almost chosen over Incineroar. The other thing is that we got confirmation that Zelda's design is based off an amalgamation of both A Link to the Past and A Link Between Worlds. Right. I kind of thought that was obvious, but
I mean, they're pretty similar anyways.
The thing is that Zelda's age, like, is obviously, she's taller. Like, she's more adult than her Link Between Worlds design. So, you know, I always felt like they took a lot of liberties with that, but it was clearly based off of both, which are, they're all kind of, A Link Between Worlds is the spiritual successor to A Link to the Past.
Link to the Past, yeah.
So, it's just kind of like, they're all designed similarly for a reason. Another interesting thing is that Xenoblade 2 and ARMS characters just had bad timing for the project plan. Which is really interesting because, yes, that's kind of obvious, but at the same time, the fact that it's worth mentioning tells me that, let's say, those games came out a year or two earlier, they would be playable characters in Smash Ultimate.
Right. It's interesting that he considered ARMS, because I feel like it didn't even do that well. Like, it didn't do bad, but it kind of just fizzled out really quickly. I feel like a lot of people don't talk about that game anymore. So it's really weird that they even considered ARMS for Smash.
Yeah.
Splatoon 2 was a phenomenon.
Well, they didn't consider it because the timing was off.
Right.
But the idea that they would have. Right. I mean, I think there's a lot of really good potential there for an actual roster spot. So it would have been really nice to see. Definitely a Xenoblade 2. And, I mean, I actually, just, spoiler, I literally have a video tomorrow related to this very subject. And I probably will use this as even more evidence for, oh, well, heard you recorded it. It's fine. It's fine.
Just record it like another segment, slip it in there.
I might. It might not be necessary, though, because I kind of bring up a similar point anyway. But,
gotcha.
Well, so wait for tomorrow, guys. Stay tuned. Another interesting thing that came out is that the Belmont boys, Simon and Richter, along with Ridley and King K. Rool, were all added because of the Smash ballot, which we also kind of knew. Like, oh yeah, all these popular characters. Like, the ballot made a difference. It definitely made a difference.
Yeah, I believe they said after the ballot ended and they only released one new character, they said that they were going to use the data for the next Smash. Right after it ended.
For future Smash Bros. Games.
Yeah.
So, the next Smash Bros. Game or DLC theoretically might take the ballot into consideration again. You know, but yeah, they definitely said they would use the ballot for future iterations. So, you know, if there's anyone else in that ballot, Patrick 3,
right?
Like, you never know, we might be announced as DLC. You never know. The other thing that came out from that, the King K. Rool's concept was to be a heavy character, but to do things that a heavy character normally wouldn't be able to do. And I think they hit their mark, because I love King K. Rool. I think he's an amazing character.
He's so good.
I think his super armor facet is really cool with his gold belly. But I love the way the cannon works. Like, there's just something so special about how that works. It's like, at first, when you first get you first use it, you're like, wait, this is kind of stupid. Like, you kind of have limited movement with the cannon. But then you realize that, oh, wait, if the cannon bumps off and then then you suck it up, you can change direction a little bit, and it also sucks it in. And it's cool, dude. There's some.
It's really good for edge guarding though. If you just shoot it and then you just keep sucking in.
Yeah.
Because it makes it harder for them to recover. And
yeah.
If they just barely recover, they're most likely going to get sucked in.
Yeah, you're reducing their options. Another thing, I see a lot of compilation videos where people like they jump in the air, they suck them, and then they shoot them back. But so you have the stage like this, and they hit it like at the edge, and they just bounce off.
And,
like
you bounce off, and you're just done.
I love it. I think it's really cool.
His back air spike is ridiculous.
It is, dude. No, Kikaro's amazing. Like, he's the best. He's the best character of all time.
Yeah,
minor exaggeration. Piranha Plant was decided because it's a character that isn't a hero. Sakurai had the team felt if all the characters were heroes, it'd be a bit boring. Also, the Piranha Plant is well known. Okay, I understand not just adding a whole bunch of heroes. I kind of feel that actually. I'm really excited about Jump Force, but I also, I wouldn't want it so every single character in Jump Force is just the main character hero from each anime. And Smash Brothers has done a better job lately, kind of introducing other characters besides just the main character from each series, which I really appreciate. Really like King K. Rool, which are really cool. And then I do think Piranha Plant is different in that way. He's just random. He's random. He's gonna add variety because he seems like a very unique character. So I appreciate it as simply like a fan of a good fighting game. He's gonna be a unique character. So he's coming out soon. We might be able to get to play him in a few weeks.
Yeah.
And probably we'll still not have seen a January Direct.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I think I feel like by that point we'll have seen a Direct actually. If Piranha Plant comes out like mid-February, I'd be pulling my hair out if there still wasn't a Direct.
Right, there's gotta be a Direct this month. God,
it's just you gotta think, right? Like, I don't know if you saw my video, Brandon, but I literally there was a couple of different videos. One video I looked at the history the last few years of how Nintendo's been publishing their games, their retail published games, and the number for their home consoles has been going up every year. And for the 3DS, it's been going down and down. Last year, there were 18 published Switch games for retail, not eShop stuff, just retail published Switch games. I gotta imagine that this year there might, even if they don't increase that number, if it's another 18, that's 18. That's more than one game per month, right? And I imagine it's gonna be a little higher. It might be around 20. Sure, we technically got 2 in January, but it still leaves 11 months. You gotta have more than one game per month on average. Are they really gonna skip February entirely? And in case you didn't know, there are no slated Nintendo published games for January. The next one is Yoshi at the end of March. Not in the middle, not in the beginning, at the very end. March 29th.
I have a feeling Daemon X Machina is going to be in February.
I hope so, because I predicted that.
Yeah.
I hope so.
I remember we were discussing it, and I had thought that they had said February, but we couldn't find anything. But I had sworn that sometime during E3, the developer had mentioned February at some point. So February is still stuck in my head. So I feel like there's some time I had to have heard
really
something.
Stretching it. I think they could pull off a February 28 sort of thing, end of February release. Yeah. I think a month if there is a Direct this week, I think that it could happen. They could pull that off.
I feel like since we already know everything about that game, they could just announce a release date. They could it's coming out next week. To be honest,
I'm just saying, Brandon. If I get the Daemon X Machina prediction for February right, I'm gonna be doing laps because that would mean my first 3 months of predictions for the year will be, almost 100% correct, because I also suggested that maybe Metroid Prime Trilogy, but I also said in the video, maybe not.
We had a 2019 whole predictions list. Where is it? I'm trying to figure out 2019.
Do you remember the image I sent you from my video, though? Which was, super optimistic? It kind of covered it. I think I could, if I look at our Twitter messaging. Oh, we talk too much. Maybe it can.
We need to be less good friends. Stop talking.
Yeah. Stupid. Oh, I think I found it.
Here it is. Oh yeah, we did. Okay, so the one we made before back in 2018 we did put March as Yoshi, and we put February with Daemon X Machina and a possible Metroid Prime trilogy, which isn't happening. But April is Fire Emblem, so we'll have to see if that happens.
I just realized I put this there. I just shoved this on the stream. This is kind of a list I made in one of my videos, guys. If you go to the stream, you'll see it, Brandon.
Yeah, I'm just waiting for now. Oh yeah, I remember you showed me this.
Yeah, like obviously, I think a couple of these will be wrong, right? But it's just kind of like I made it for a video, like just to kind of give an idea of how the schedule might be, right? Like, I think at this point it's pretty fair to say that Prime Trilogy probably is not a February game. Probably not. I don't think it exists anymore, actually, but we'll see. Mortal Kombat's confirmed. Yoshi's confirmed. Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3 could end up coming out a little bit later in the year, maybe April or May, but I think coming out at the end of March. Well, now Yoshi's coming out at the end of March, so I don't know. And Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3 is actually getting published by Nintendo as well, by the way, in case you guys didn't know that. So that might not be an end of March thing, so that's probably wrong. Fire Emblem Three Houses could come out in May, but it also might come out in May or June. There's still the reports of Animal Crossing coming out Q1, Q2. So I wouldn't be surprised.
I think the June is still pretty good. This actually lines up pretty well with what we made back in 2018 for the podcast when we were just randomly talking about it.
Yeah.
We made a whole list and I still have it. So like we put February's Daemon X Machina Metroid Prime, just like you have. March was Yoshi. Yeah, April was Fire Emblem. Yeah, May was Skyward Sword. Yeah, it's pretty much the same. There's like more titles, but the basic ones we knew about, we still think it's coming out pretty much the same as we did last year. So
yeah, maybe Bayonetta doesn't make it out this year, but
I mean it's hard to tell because we have no new information to go on because Nintendo hasn't had a direct.
Yeah, Nintendo. But I do think it's possible. Maybe Skyward Sword HD doesn't happen. There are rumors of a 2D Zelda coming out instead, so that's another thing. But why would Eiji Aonuma just like say, "Oh, would you guys like Skyward Sword?" Like on the Switch, like why would you just randomly mention it? And just, I don't know. It's weird. It's really weird.
Yeah.
Let me see what you guys are saying in the chat. Let me see. Samus is saying you would have preferred Decidueye. Yeah, ARMS is. I can see what you mean by ARMS being a little bit too hype, but it is a new Nintendo IP. So it was at least a unique game to play. Yeah, there was a lot of DLC for ARMS Mastermind.
It had the
but it was just all
same
free.
plan as like Splatoon.
Yeah, it was basically like exactly like Splatoon. You're right, Brandon.
Yeah, it had a ton. It was like the game more than doubled in size. It felt like after the DLC was over. They added a bunch of stuff.
Mastermind saying that Jump Force lacks characters. Most of them are just fan favorites or just random. Well, they're still announcing characters. It's gonna have like some almost 50 characters in the game, so I'm kind of looking forward to it. I recently got into JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, and I don't think it's been officially confirmed yet, but it's been all but confirmed that Jotaro Kujo is going to be in the game, and I'm kind of really hyped about that. And like I got to play the beta, and I saw Hisoka from Hunter x Hunter, and well, technically the X is silent, but Hunter x Hunter, like, and then of course Bleach is in there, and then Naruto and One Piece, and there's a lot of like Yu Yu Hakusho is in there. Like there's some. Rurouni Kenshin is in there, dude. When I saw Rurouni Kenshin, I was like, "What? Really? Him?" I don't know. I actually kind of am digging the lineup because I'm a weeb and I've watched like all of the main Shonen Jump like animes. I'm like, "Oh, that's awesome! That's awesome! That's awesome! That's awesome!" So I'm kind of looking forward to it. Deku's in it too from My Hero.
Right.
Fingers crossed that we have Bakugo as well. I think Bakugo should be in there. We'll see how that turns out though. Even Asta from Black Clover's in there. I think
I felt like that was a weird choice.
Well, it's kind of a popular anime, and I gotta say, from the footage I saw, he looks like a badass character at least.
Yeah, I just feel like the ratings for that anime aren't very good.
Yeah, I agree. Black Clover is kind of like, but whatever. It's kind of like gone up and down. It's like been slowly getting better as an anime, but I'm just kind of on it. Yeah, Yami from Yu-Gi-Oh! Is also in it too. I never expected that, and that seems pretty interesting as well. So I kind of really like the lineup for Jump Force. It's actually kind of selling me on the game. I'm probably gonna buy it. So look forward to seeing me stream that this February on Twitch. But all the plugs. Let me see. What else do you guys think? Yeah, Joe. I don't know where the direct is either. I have no idea. please happen this Thursday. 24 Fight Futures. You used to want Decidueye, but you want Incineroar more. Yeah, I mean, you know, I think they created a really good character with Incineroar in Smash Ultimate. Yeah. I think they did a good job with him. Also, 24 Fight Futures brought up a good point. Gintoki from Gintama. I personally don't like Gintama, but Gintama is like a super popular anime, so it wouldn't shock me if we see Gintoki in Jump Force as well. And yeah, there's that one Dragon Quest character in Jump Force too. I guess Dragon Quest had an anime or something that was popular. I have to look into that. I think his name was Rai or something. I never watched it. Maybe I should. Maybe that's another thing. Like Smash Bros. It's kind of like Jump Force is the anime Smash, right? Like that's how it's like this huge crossover. And what's interesting is that there are some of the characters in Jump Force I haven't seen the anime too. But now that I see it, I'm probably going to go watch it. Like, I'm probably going to go check out that Dragon Quest anime now. Because I'm like, oh, who's this character? Right? Or Saint Seiya. I've never seen Saint Seiya. I might go check out Saint Seiya now because of Jump Force. So it's kind of have like the Smash effect where in Smash Brothers, people are like, oh, what's this character from? What video game series? Oh, wait, what? This robot character with an arm cannon is part of this series called Metroid? Huh, let me go check it out. Like, or Fire Emblem. You know, like, who's Marth and Roy? Who are these dudes? Like, it's kind of having a similar effect, so I'm really appreciating for what it is. I'm excited for it, guys. I loved the beta, even though they had to cancel Saturday and Sunday for it.
Yeah. I would love to see a Full Metal Alchemist character in there.
Oh, man.
You think that would be possible? I don't really know.
I don't know how the rights concerned. I don't know if a Full Metal Alchemist is like considered like a Shonen Jump character. But also, I would love to see it. I think he had some serious potential. Like him and his brother, bro, in the metal suit, like they'd be so cool. Two different characters, like oh man, I would love.
I really need to rewatch that one. It's so good, and it's not like super long either. Like there's not a bunch of filler or anything. It's really good length. I think it's like just barely over 100 episodes or something. It's like not bad at all. It's very
Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood.
Brotherhood is the one I'm referring to.
The one I'm recommending, and yeah, that's 64 episodes, I believe.
Oh, is it really that? Okay, so it's like real nice and short.
Yep, and it's all encompassing. Yeah, I like it when stories are very complete. They don't have to be short, but short isn't always a bad thing for me. As long as the story is complete, I'm happy. Sometimes
I just kind of have an issue
long animes because if I never get to the end, I'm kind of pissed.
Yeah. I just some animes I'm just like, okay, can we move on from this arc, please? It's like some of them it's like 2-3 episodes in a single fight, and you're just like, stop. You don't need this many episodes for this fight. It's just a fight. It's all good.
Yeah. So, is there anything else you want to kind of say in reference to this recent interview from Sakurai and Decidueye and Smash and King K. Rool and the Battle and stuff, or you ready to move on to the next topic?
Yeah, I'm ready to move on.
Okay, let's move on. No, I'm just kidding. We're staying. We're done. Alright, so. Switch is winning. What do I mean by Switch is winning? Well, let me explain, guys. So, rumor has it, and by rumor, I mean fact.
Not rumor. Complete opposite of rumor.
All of the analysts are now changing their opinions and projections on Switch, on their Switch forecast, because it seems that the Switch has done really well over the holiday season. Between the October to December period, it seems they've really made a significant jump. I think they're thinking that they sold about 10 million units during that 3-month period.
It's really good.
I have to double check that number, but it changed their expectations, and now, even though it didn't seem like Nintendo was going to hit their 20 million for the fiscal year, this second fiscal year, now analysts are saying that they will. And Super Smash Bros. Ultimate sold over 5 million during when it came out around December, apparently. And the Switch is having better software sales than any other Nintendo system in history. Any Nintendo system, not just console, anything. So those are all incredibly good things. I want to say that software sales is actually more important than console sales. A lot more important, because they make way more money from software than they do hardware. Let me explain. Software, what is when you ship software, what is it? It's just a disc or a cartridge. It's really cheap. It doesn't cost them anything. Hardware that's a lot of really complex technology that costs them money. Like it costs them more than $100 to ship out a Nintendo Switch. It costs them in some cases less than $1 to ship out a Switch cartridge, right? Like, so in terms of how much it costs them and how much return they get for each product, they get a lot more returns from software, especially digitally, because there's no cost with that. Like, you just you run the network, like that's it. So they make a lot of money from software. That's how sales in video games usually are. Of course, yes, games cost money because you have to develop the game. Development of the game costs money too. But of course, there's also R&D for the system as well. That costs money. It's kind of like that's the development for the system. There's research and development for that. But it's
a lot of research and development costs.
But just to kind of re-summarize the news, analysts have kind of changed their projections because now, based off the October to December period for the Nintendo Switch, it is now looking like Nintendo will sell 20 million in this second fiscal year. That is basically March to March. That's where the fiscal year takes place, I believe. I think is it March to March, or is it April to March? I think March is where it ends. But around that time is when the fiscal year is, and then so the Switch is doing really well. And if you don't care about sales, let me tell you why it matters. It matters because the more Switch sales, the more support Nintendo will get from third parties. So that means more games. And not just bad games, like they may put more effort and time into the games they make because they know that version's going to count for more money because more people are available to buy it. So that could be one of the reasons why Mortal Kombat 11 is like, yeah, we're getting this game, right? Could be one of the reasons why Dragon's Dogma is totally happening. It could be one of the reasons why we get a whole bunch of crazy third-party announcements later on this year because the Switch is selling like hotcakes. And the software sales aspect is even more important because that tells developers, hey, not only is there a lot of people on Switch, these people buy more games on the Switch than they do on every other device that's out there. That's even more reason for developers to put games on the Switch. So these numbers aren't just us being nerds talking about numbers. It is, but it's also good news for the gamer because it actually translates to more games in the future, which is really exciting. And
by the way, I got the numbers here on. So you were pretty spot on with the 10 million. It was quarter 4 2018. The Switch sold nearly 11 million, or just about 11 million units. So adding the 5.1 million that they had made since the beginning of the fiscal year up until that time, Switch would be about 6.1 million. So they need about a little less than 4 million left to hit that 20 million mark.
And that's from December. Doesn't count January.
No.
Okay, and we're still waiting on the MPD numbers to get the exact sales. Like that's the forecast, but we haven't gotten the raw numbers yet, right? We're probably gonna see that. Actually, not for the MPD, for the investors meeting at the end of the month, I think.
Yes.
Maybe.
Think so.
Maybe.
I like that.
I believe that we will see the hard numbers. At the end of January, we'll get the investors meeting on top. At that point, we also may get some announcements from Nintendo if we don't get anything from the Nintendo Direct. Hopefully, we get both though. And it's even another really cool thing is that Smash Brothers is doing incredibly well. I think it's like the fastest selling Nintendo game of all time, which is insane.
Yeah.
But if you think about it, it's an amalgamation of all Nintendo games, so kind of it's fitting.
Yeah, it sold like 5 million in the first week or something. It's ridiculous.
Something crazy like that. Yeah, it's doing really, really well. I mean, let me take a quick look if it sheds some more light on it. I have an article up here somewhere. Let me see. Nope. Nope, that's wrong. Nope, that's wrong. Nope, that's wrong. Nope, that's wrong. Let me see. Yes. In week 1, Super Smash Bros. Ultimate passed 5 million. It's kind of crazy. That is insane. So this year is looking really good. Typically, the third year in a console in a system's life cycle is the peak year, especially for Nintendo. We know Pokemon's, we know Animal Crossing. Those games are guaranteed pretty much to sell over 10 million each, those are big heavy hitters. There is rumors of the Switch revision. Hopefully they have a price drop. Maybe they bring that Dock Plus. But can we talk about the Dock Plus again? What we were talking about earlier today.
Yeah, sure. First, I'd like to just go back to some more predicted numbers, just real quick.
Yeah.
There are some people saying that they think it's going to sell 25 million. There are people predicting 25 million. So if the predictions are correct, the Switch should be at like between 38 and 43 actually million units sold by March. Which is insane.
Right behind Xbox One.
2 years, 43 million. That's absolutely insane.
They're on pace to pass the Xbox One, even though the Switch came out years afterwards. So,
Yeah.
Nintendo
And
won't
the
be
Switch
last
just
anymore.
recently passed the PS4 and PS4 Pro combined in Japan. So
Right.
lifetime. So
That's incredible.
just in the Japan region, of course, but still.
The third year is going to be really interesting because
Oh, yeah.
the Switch is really doing incredible, but it's going to be interesting to see. Like, it's become apparent that the Switch is going to pass Xbox One. It's passed PS4 and Sony overall in Japan lifetime, and it's had they've been out for years already, and the Switch is way behind. It's like what, 3 years behind. But now, this third year is going to be the biggest. Could be the biggest year for the
4
Switch.
years. Yeah.
Could be the biggest year for the Switch. Third year. I'm curious what we're going to be talking about a year from now. If we're going to be talking about, instead of the Switch being right behind the Xbox One, bound to pass it really soon, and maybe next year we'll be talking about the Switch passing PS4 lifetime. Like, how crazy would that be? That's probably not going to happen because if PS4 is like twice the amount of, it's like, what, in the 80s, 80 million something, and of course it's going to sell throughout this year
Switch, the PS4 has been selling really, really well as well,
but
in America and stuff. So,
but it's possible that after the fourth year of the Switch, it'll have cut the gap significantly. It will cut the gap significantly in the third year, but it may be so close after 4 years that they'll be. I mean, I could see Switch being around 80 million.
I think it's reasonable to suggest about 60 to at least 60 to 70, because that's another 20 to 30 million. And last year, let's be honest, most of the year the Switch was selling way slower than it was in 2017. So there was the big explosion, obviously, in Q4, which made up a lot of what they wanted to get to 20 million. But this year, I don't think it's going to be slow.
Prediction.
I think it's going to be fast the entire time.
Prediction. The Switch will assuming the Switch does meet its goal for this fiscal year, which I think it will, I think the Switch will sell over 20 million every year for at least the next 2 years. Over 20 million. I think it's probably
30 million this year at least.
I think the Switch is going to get to over 100 million units sold lifetime.
Oh yeah, I think it's going to hit Wii numbers.
I think it's going to pass. Well, I think Wii's like 101 million or something like that. Or
let me look. Wii lifetime sales. It should be like 110 or something. Oh no, it's 100. Yeah, you're right. 101. 101.63 million.
I think the Switch will pass 100 million.
Yeah, I think it's gonna pass the Wii. Honestly, I think.
Yeah, and it should, because the Switch is kind of a combination of the handheld and home console sales, so that kind of makes sense. It should, right? I have a hard time believing it'll pass the DS.
It was like 150 something, or this is ridiculous.
It's ridiculous, but if the Switch does outperform last year, it does 30 this year, 30 next year, that's 60. That puts them probably around 100 million after 4 years. If the Switch is relevant for another 2 years, especially if there's like different revisions coming out, we'll see, right? Like it's hard to say, but I think it's at least going to hit over 100 million lifetime.
Also, we were talking about passing the PS4. The PS4 is currently at 91.6 million.
Yeah, it's not happening.
91.6.
No.
So, not happening
even if the Switch. Well, even if the Switch sells 30 million the next 2 years, which is a lot, but not impossible, it still won't do it, because if it sells 30 million for the next 2 years, it'll be past what the PS4 is at now. But 2 years from now, the PS4 will have sold more as well. So.
I do think the PS4 is going to slow down significantly. Last year, they released the biggest games on their system ever. Last year was their peak year. They're not getting better than that. They have like no slated exclusive games for this year, barely at all. Like, I don't think this year is going to sell super well for the PS4, to be honest. I think it's going to sell just because the PS4 and that name just sells alone. It's like alone. People, absolutely. You ask people what they want. If they don't have a system, they want a PS4.
System. Yeah. Yeah, no, it's just a good game system. That's what it is. There's tons of games. There's tons of third-party games coming out. It's a great media platform. You can do all sorts of other video stuff on there, watching stuff. It's a great system. So it's gonna continue to do well. And of course, you know, there will be more Sony and Xbox announcements within a year or so in terms of their next consoles. I see that 24 Fight Futures and Super Chris bid us a farewell. They had a good. They left. So good night to you guys. If you're still here, take care. Yeah. Mastermind saying Switch winning. That's a bold statement. Well, it's winning in a way. I don't mean winning as in it's the #1. Actually, it probably is the #1 console seller. Based off the forecast, it is going to be the best-selling system from last year, right? Or no?
I think the PS4 has already sold like 20 million, to be honest. Well, they had a huge year last year.
The forecast is saying that the Switch outperformed the PlayStation, Xbox in the holiday season.
I could believe that. I feel like all the PlayStation games came out during like the summer and late and like fall. Yeah. So December and November to December didn't really have any new games for the PS4. So they saw like really big sales in summer and fall, but I imagine it would die down. Also, I definitely think we're gonna pass the Xbox One like by this fiscal year or around that, because November of last year, the Xbox One was at 42 million units. So shortly, like halfway through this year, it's gonna pass lifetime sales. The Switch, obviously. Okay. That's what I'm referring to here. So
yeah, for sure, I agree. Sabbath64 says he's still waiting on Pikmin 4. We all are.
Yeah, who isn't?
Yeah. 24 5 Future saying, I don't care about the Nintendo Direct, too busy smashing Ultimate. Well, there is Ultimate, so you have that to enjoy. I've been playing Starlink lately, as I said earlier. I've been having a good time with it. And yes, Sabbath64, I also hope there's a Direct this week, like everyone else. Yeah. And Mark Jacobs is asking, what is the music in the background? So the music in the background, if I remember correctly, it is a Lost painting. I think that's from the Castlevania, and it's the Super Smash Bros. Ultimate remix of it. So you have this song available in Smash Ultimate.
Right. That one's really good. I like that song.
Yeah, I think it's good. I was worried.
I think I put it as one of my, before the game came out, it was one of my favorite songs that I'd heard for Smash Ultimate, because I made a list before the game came out of like songs that they had shown off that were my favorite, and I think the last painting was
wow, this is like right in the camera. It's so awkward. My bad. You got to see all my pores. I was trying to stretch, and then let's not talk about it. Let's just move past it, guys. Forgive and forget, please. Yeah.
True, Sabbath. Sony isn't even going to be at E3 this year.
No. Right.
Yeah, they don't got much going on this year at
all. I think they're preparing for their next system already.
Yeah.
I think.
And they didn't have a Sony Experience last year either.
Yeah, the PSX.
Yeah.
Yeah.
PlayStation Experience, that's what it is. Not Sony Experience.
Okay. Yeah. But I think that the PS4 is winding down. There's still have a good year or so to enjoy.
I think lifetime will still be another 10 to 20 million for that system.
Yeah, I definitely see it passing the 100 million mark too.
Yeah.
But I have a feeling the Switch could beat it out lifetime. It won't pass. I don't think it's gonna pass it soon. But once everything's said and done, once we're in the middle of the next console generation, once we're talking about the Switch successor, once we own the Switch successor, right? When we look into the past, I think the Switch will have sold more than the PS4 lifetime.
I feel like just gaming in general has seen a huge boost this generation. Like the rate of units being sold is insane. Like the Wii was a phenomenon, and it took it 8 years to hit 100 million. Like it took it a while.
Well, let's think about it like this. This is rough numbers. I don't remember exactly. I believe the PS3 and the Xbox 360 all both sold around 80 million, give or take 10 million, which is a big window. I know my memory's not that great with that. But
I had the numbers pulled up just here. About 80 million. Xbox 360, 84 million. Yeah.
PS3.
I need to click into it to find it. The ones in the top were not. That PS3 83, yeah, both about the exact same.
So I was close. So took lifetime, that's 167 million plus the Wii's 101, so that's 168. That's 268 plus the DS's 154.
The DS was insane.
How much did the DS sell? It was 150 something.
Yeah, let me go back. Yeah, 154.
Oh man, I'm good. 268 plus 154. That puts us at 368, 372, 422?
To be honest, I was letting you count, so...
I think I'm close.
Something like that.
Yeah, I think it's 422 million between the DS, the Wii, the 360, and the PS3. Okay. So then we can count... If we count Wii U, 3DS... Switch, PS4, and Xbox One, what are we at currently? Oof. I think the Wii U's at 14 million. The Xbox One's at 43. That puts us at 47, 57. PS4 is at what, 84 you said?
91.6.
91.
PlayStation 4.
91 plus 57, so 98. 148. It's 148 million plus 3DS is 60 million?
3DS, where is it?
I can't keep up with this math.
3DS, where are you?
I'm falling behind. I need a calculator.
I don't think it's...
I'm forgetting my numbers.
73 million.
Wait, hold on. So, PS4 is at,
It's of July as well. These are little...
PS4 is at 91, plus 14 from Wii U, plus 43 from Xbox, plus how much from 3DS? 73?
73 million.
Okay, and we're estimating that Switch is at what?
Switch right now?
Yeah.
Let's see, it's about 5 million less. So 33? 33 million?
Okay, so if we're assuming our numbers are right, currently this current like generation's at 254 million unit systems. Oh, there's also the Vita. We didn't count the PSP either from last generation. Oh, well, that actually helps a lot the previous generation with the PSP. So I mean, there's like 200 million that still needs to be accounted for this generation to have sold as many units as the previous generation. But
right.
The
previous generation was longer though.
Right.
It's
but we still have a few years left, right? The Switch is still going to sell for a few years. The Xbox One is still selling. PS4 is still selling. So I could see them passing. It's going to be interesting to see how it compares.
It's also interesting because this generation I feel like has been more expensive than last generation. Like I feel like because the Wii was super cheap, Nintendo DS was super cheap, and the Xbox 360 got some really good prices, and the PS3 was super expensive when it first launched, so then it was pretty cheap. But now we got like $500 consoles and $400 consoles, and the cheapest home console right now is $300 for, except like the Xbox One, but nobody. So it's like it's weird because it felt like people are paying more.
I don't,
because like even the 3DS was more expensive than the DS was.
Yeah.
A lot.
What I'm trying to say though is that I don't think this current generation is that far behind though. I don't even know if they're behind. Actually, I mean, I have to kind of look at like like the trend and the rates of growth and all that different stuff. Like, I could easily see this current generation selling another 200 million copies to systems. I think that could happen. The Switch is still just getting started, and the PS4 is probably going to sell at least another 20-30 million at least.
The gaming market, like as far as how much money it's making, is like way higher than it was back in the last generation.
There's also a lot more digital sales going on now. There's also a lot more digital sales.
Yeah, digital sales make up for it. The amount of money being made is a lot higher.
There's a lot more DLC now too.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, gaming's becoming more and more mainstream. Like things like Fortnite have helped to make gaming a lot more normalized than it used to be. So there's, yeah, I don't think there's any real concern about the industry dying. I think anyone who's saying that it's largely exaggerated. It's people who don't actually know what they're talking about. Yep.
Stuff over here when we were talking about how much the 3DS is sold. She's like, 3DS is on deathbed. That's where it's at. We were asking where the 3DS was at in sales.
Yeah,
it's just funny. Like it's deathbed.
Right. So let's talk about. Yeah, I don't know when the 3DS is dying. I mean, it's been dying. It's the amount of games that Nintendo's been publishing for have been going down year by year, but they're still publishing games for it. Like there's still maybe 4 or 5 games they published this year for the 3DS, which is nothing. Those are like Wii U levels. But whatever it takes to support that fan base. So let's move on to the final topic though.
Okay.
There was a data mine for Super Nintendo games on the Nintendo Online app, which basically means that we're gonna get Super Nintendo games for Nintendo's online service. Probably. Right. How do you feel about that?
I feel like I predicted this in a video like 2 months ago. When they talked about not having an N64 Classic, or they didn't have it planned, and that they were discontinuing the SNES Classic, I was like, oh, you know what? The SNES games are totally coming to the Switch. They're totally pulling that emulator from the SNES Classic and throwing it on the Switch. Mm-hmm. There's no way they're not doing that, because they're going to want to keep making money from these SNES games. They already said that they wanted to make the online service, better than it was, and more, what's the word? Just get more people to use it. And I'm just like, SNES games and probably N64 games as well. And there is a data mine that there's another emulator that they don't know what it is on there. Yeah. Some people are reporting that there's 2 more, but they're actually, or that there's 3 in total. So SNES, whatever the other one is, and another one, but there isn't. The other one is actually just a list of different things. So if you see some people reporting that there are 3 more, there's not.
Yeah, Gaming made a video discussion. They talked about 2 more emulators.
Right, there's just 2. So I think it's the SNES and either like the Game Boy or the N64.
I just feel like it would be such a drag if they have to create a whole other emulator for Game Boy. Like, I feel like I'd rather it be for N64. But of course,
right.
Here's the thing. One thing I should say is that even if the emulator is just for Game Boy, right, or Game Boy Color, or both, or whatever, that doesn't mean they can't add another emulator later. This data mine included new emulators, data for new emulators, but that data wasn't there beforehand. They added it. So why can't a year or 2 from now they add another emulator or 2? So just because there may not be an N64 or GameCube emulator now doesn't mean they won't add one later on. But at the same time, again, keep on doing circles. I don't want to tell you guys, hey, expect GameCube games on the Nintendo Online Shop for free if you just pay for the online service. I don't think that's happening. I don't think for $20 a year we're going to have access to a full library of N64, GameCube, Super Nintendo, Game Boy Color, Game Boy Advance, and NES games all for $20 a year. I don't think that. I think if they do something like that, they're going to have like a deluxe service as well that you have to add on top of that. I do think they should add the Super Nintendo games to the base package, but if they're going to add more to that, where it's kind of like a Netflix sort of service where you can just kind of access it, all of it at once, they need to have like a deluxe payment plan. I don't see Nintendo doing it otherwise.
I could actually see something interesting that I think that they could do is, because they gotta keep adding more stuff to keep people who have been paying for it the entire time to get more content. Because, you could say, oh, well, they have all this content from before, but it's like, okay, it's all stuff that these people have been having for a while, and they've been paying for it the entire time. So I'm wondering if maybe they would have like a legacy thing. Like if you've been paying for the online service for this entire time, you get to keep all the games that you had been paying. But if they expand the service a lot, maybe they have for newcomers, you have to pay for a different, like the Netflix sort of thing. Because it would be kind of shitty if you'd been paying the entire time and they were just like, oh, well, no, Just not gonna keep. We're not gonna add any more new games for you to play. Now you have to buy another service.
Well, I think there's so many NES and Super Nintendo games that they can go on forever with just that, for years. Yeah. If they only add 3 games every month, think about that. They go on for a really long time. And I mean, by adding, they could have really stretched it with just NES games, but now they add Super Nintendo stuff. They go on for a really long time, and on top of that, they could go on even longer if they add Game Boy games. And they could extend that to Game Boy Color, Game Boy Advance, and then that's still a lot of games that they could go years. Like we'll already be on the next system with a different service by that point. So I don't really know about that. I would like to. I feel like if we don't get an N64 Classic, it's because they do have plans to kind of use that at some point, like on their own.
I think the only reason we haven't gotten SNES games before is because they wanted to sell those last bit of SNES Classics before they moved on.
I think so. I think that's why they're also getting discontinued, because they are going to implement that in their service. Yeah, it makes sense. It all lines up, and it's also interesting because I feel like that's probably part of the next Nintendo Direct. It's probably going to be announced at the next Nintendo Direct. Like, hey, we're going to update the Nintendo Online app with Super Nintendo games. Yeah, I think it's happening.
It would be interesting, because there was a lot of rumors that an N64 Classic was going to be coming. Well, but I wonder if...
those rumors are mostly just from a patent of a controller, though.
Well, there were other rumors of inside sources and stuff.
Inside sources.
But I wonder if the rumors could have been...
Yeah, you go, sorry.
It could have been people getting, misconstrued news. Maybe there is an emulator, N64 emulator, on this online service, and people, the way the information was being passed, the people thought that there was going to be N64 Classic. Maybe they just heard that N64 games were going to be made available, but didn't hear exactly how, and they just assumed, you got NES games, we got SNES Classic, why not get N64 Classic? And so they said that's what it was.
Right, and
it was going to be on the Switch.
We're on a similar wavelength. What I was trying to imply with the N64 patent was just that I think that patent's legit. I think that patent could be used for something. I think they were planning something with it. It's just maybe it wasn't an N64 Classic. Maybe it's just N64 games. And just like how they had those NES controllers to come to the Switch Online that you could buy, they're going to have an N64 controller you could get to play as well.
There's going to be SNES Switch controllers as well. Guaranteed.
I wish I could just use... Damn it. How can I... Give me a second. I got this. I can do it. You can do it. You can do it. Come on. I just all these cords all tangled up. Like I think this controller is cool as hell, man. This is from the SNES Classic. Like, I would love to use this.
What does that use to connect?
Oh.
It's not USB, is it?
No.
It's
like the nunchuck. You remember the Wiimote nunchuck?
Yeah.
It's like that connection.
Yeah. Work.
Yeah.
Dang it.
And I don't. They would have to have like a USB adapter.
Yeah, dude. When I was playing, I want to maybe get one of those NES controllers for the Switch, because I was playing I was playing Zelda, and this D-pad it's just really stiff.
I want to mod my Pro controller to fix the D-pad, because otherwise it's the best controller of all time.
Oh yeah,
well,
I love the
actually, there's two issues with it: the D-pad and no audio jack.
Yes.
Those are the two things that need to be fixed.
Mm-hmm. We need a Pro controller that has those things.
Yeah, a Pro controller plus.
Yes.
Well, my theory, it's not a theory, it's more like a wish. But I was telling you about the Dock Plus. That's what they're going to call it Dock Plus, because you can't call it a 4K dock, because they're not actually going to do 4K with it. But imagine, we were talking about it earlier, Brandon, but like, what if they announce a Dock Plus at E3 with Metro Prime 4, because, Metro Prime 4 is all about the graphics, right?
And
the graphics. And it touts 5 features. The Dock Plus, it will upscale your games to 1440p, all games. It won't improve, it won't like bump 30 FPS to 60, but whatever frame rate that game is set at, it will become solid at that. So for example, if you run Breath of the Wild with the Dock Plus, when you go to the Lost Woods, there's going to be no frame drops. It's going to stay at a solid 30 the entire time. So it's going to improve frame rate, it's going to upscale games to 1440p, it's going to do that thing you were talking about with the anti-aliasing, so it's going to have that. Because there are HDMIs that do that to a small degree as well, right? But if you had like an actual GPU there, it could be a lot more intelligent and do something a bit more complex with that. So it'll have some anti-aliasing added, because I know a lot of Nintendo games don't have that. And then it will also have Ethernet ports, so you can connect an actual Ethernet cable, so you have way faster internet than whatever that LAN adapter does for your Switch dock. And the other thing is that with this dock and the additional GPU power and RAM, they will enable an actual Bluetooth headset to be connected with it that you can actually use to communicate with your games. Because I have a feeling one of the reasons why we haven't seen voice chat on the Switch is because they want to limit the amount of background features that the operating system is using to have less resources being invested there, so they could focus more on just actual gaming.
It's weird though, because there's dedicated OS features. Like, one of the CPU cores is completely dedicated to just using the OS. I believe there's part of the GPU dedicated. There's part of RAM dedicated. So none of it should be full.
My question is, do you know if any of that is ever touched for gaming?
As far as I know, it's never touched.
So assuming that's the case, which I wish we had like some hard information on that, but assuming that's the case, like, I imagine there's more than enough power to have voice chat. That's not that complex of technology.
Fortnite has voice chat. Come on.
It is. It does. Right.
Yeah. For real.
Yeah. Of course, it kind of looks like trash, but whatever.
It looks a lot better.
It's gotten better. It's been optimized. They're continually optimized. Like, I should check it out again to see how it is. And actually, there have been a couple times when I let my brother borrow my Switch for a while. I would walk in and I wasn't sure if he was playing on PS4 or Switch, and he was playing on the Switch.
I've seen some people stream, and I was like, are they playing on? What are they playing on? They were playing on Switch. Obviously, you know, the 30 FPS, if you compare them side by side, you would tell.
When you switch back between them, sometimes you're like, oh.
It's harder to tell when you're not playing. I feel like I find frame rate harder to tell when I'm not playing.
But when you're playing, part of frame rate feel it, it's different.
Feels very different. But if you're just like watching and you're not really paying attention, it can trick you.
Yeah. So Sabbath is asking, would you guys pay extra for the N64 and GameCube games? Yes, I would.
It depends on how good the library is, and how much they're charging, of course.
Well, I mean, okay, I imagine that it would be like an additional $10. I don't know.
Okay.
Actually, that's a lot. That's a lot. Ooh.
Is it?
Yeah, $10 a month. Think about that. It's a lot. To play old games.
It's half of what we're paying now. Still be only $30 a month for a ton of games.
No. We don't pay that much. We pay $20 a year. $10 a month.
Oh yeah, that's what I'm. Oh, you mean $10 a month? What's wrong with you? No, $10 a year.
Oh, if it's just additional $10.
Yeah, why would it be $10 a month? What? Wait, who even brought up $10 a month? Is it you?
Me?
$10 a month? No, that'd be ridiculous.
How much do people pay for Netflix a month?
Too much. Yeah, but Netflix has so much. Way more than N64 and GameCube.
How about $5 a month?
No, it wouldn't be monthly. It'd be yearly. I mean, obviously it'd be a monthly thing, but it'd be like $1.
Yeah, and Mastermind is asking, so pretty much Virtual Consoles replaced by online subscription classic games. That is the speculation. Yeah. The data mine suggests, with the data mine, it pretty much confirms, it's all but confirmed that we're getting Super Nintendo games on the online subscription. There's another emulator on there. We don't know if that's for Game Boy games or Game Boy Advance games or N64, but I would imagine if they're willing to add Super Nintendo games, that opens the door for something else as well beyond NES. And you know, a couple years from now, it could basically be like a Virtual Console library, but as a subscription-based service. It could be.
And that second emulator is probably going to come out a bit after the SNES, because the SNES always has all of the games on there. Like, they're ready to launch that whenever they want. Like, the other emulator's there, but it doesn't have any games or any info at all. Like, even the descriptions for all of the games, like, you know, when you go and you hit X to get the description on the NES games, yeah, all that's on there as well. Like, it's literally, they just press a couple buttons and, you know, oh, all of a sudden SNES games are now available. Like they're ready. The other emulator isn't ready at all, so it's gonna be a bit.
I think what they should do, or at least I think what they're more likely to do, is that maybe we get N64 and Game Boy and Game Boy Advance games all on the Virtual Console eventually, along with Super Nintendo and NES. Well, it's not Virtual Console, but, you know, as the online service, and maybe we don't pay anything extra if that's all a part of it. But GameCube and Wii, like, if we ever see those, those will be, like, things you have to buy, but they'll be, like, remasters. Like, you brought up a really good... You made an interesting video about the deep learning.
Right.
Like, they could be... you suggested in your video that they could be researching with deep learning in China, so maybe so they can incorporate that to make a lot more ports on a faster rate, and yeah, I could see it where, like, they could maybe treat it like, oh yeah, we have these enhanced, like, GameCube games available, but you pay for them separately, but you still have the online service. But it's kind of maybe it could maybe still be segmented, like, oh, these are, you know, like Virtual Console, you still pay for Virtual Console games, right? But, like, it could be like that, like, oh, you want to pay for GameCube games? Okay, go to the GameCube tab. Like, okay, there's these enhanced GameCube ports. Like, they all have online play. They all have better textures. They're all scaled to 1080p. Like, that's something they could do, and that would add a lot of value. I don't think that if they were to do that, like, if they were to have, like, a system in place, like, with the deep learning and all that.
Yeah, they would. They'd have to charge for that.
They would charge for it, but it wouldn't be full $60 games. I think it'd be, like, $30, maybe $20 games. Like, 20 would work. If they're all just upscaled, like, basically giving them the Nintendo Online Service treatment with the deep learning, but selling them separately instead of it being a subscription, I could see them make $20, $30 each.
Yeah.
I could see myself... What if Metroid Prime Trilogy HD is not real? Because they're actually just gonna, you know, start just porting over the GameCube games and Wii games, like, with this service or something like that.
That'd be nice. Yeah, I'd pay for that, for sure.
I mean, can you imagine Metroid Prime with the deep learning textures, upscaled to 1080p? That'd be great.
Yeah. Obviously, it wouldn't be good as a full remaster because you wouldn't be like a new lighting engine or adding new content or anything like that. Like different things like Wind Waker had a new lighting engine which looked really nice. Like, obviously, if Wind Waker was just use the deep learning, it wouldn't have looked as good as Wind Waker HD, but it still looks a hell of a lot better than the original. So
yeah, but let's also be realistic here, though. If Metroid Prime Trilogy is 3 whole games, that's a lot more to work on. Like, I doubt they would have as many graphical improvements if it's 3 whole games. And actually, if you look at Twilight Princess HD is really not that much. I mean, I know they kind of redid all the textures and stuff, but it still looks like... It looks aged. It doesn't really look modernized. You know what I mean? Not really. Not to me, at least. Wind Waker holds up better because it's a more timeless design.
Yeah, it's a very more simplistic design.
Like, they didn't change that much. It was basically, like, the lighting. That was the biggest change.
Lighting. They implemented the HD versions of the textures, and that was the, 1080p.
Yeah, so I don't think there's too much more they would do with that. So I like the idea. I like the idea that they'll have upgraded GameCube and Wii games with, like, this deep learning and stuff like that. I would love it.
That'd be amazing.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think N64 should be on the online service. I feel like I don't want to. I feel like
it's made in the 90s. It's way too simplistic. I think
they don't hold up enough to be worth paying for again.
They don't. No, I agree. I think N64 should be in there. So I think it will be. I think there have been signs. Maybe those signs are misinterpreted as an N64 classic, but I do think. Yeah.
Honestly, I think it's an N64 emulator. I think that's what people want, honestly, more than a Game Boy emulator. Way more. We have the patent for the controller.
I would imagine the Super Nintendo emulator could basically just straight up emulate Game Boy Color and advanced games too, like, pretty easily if they wanted to, right? Like,
I'm not sure if there's any issues with that or not. I don't really know. I don't know enough about the Game Boy's hardware, because, like, SNES had some interesting things like the FX chip that were hard to emulate and stuff to that, but I don't know if the Game Boy had anything special. So I don't have enough information on that.
But I would love to see a Game Boy. Like, I just hope they just call it Game Boy, because Game Boy Advance, Game Boy Color, Game Boy games, like there's a lot of good games on there. Like having Zero Mission and Fusion on my Switch would be great, right? Having the Minish Cap or Oracle of Ages and Seasons on my Switch would be great. I would love to have those games available on my Switch. I would love that. It would be so good. So, I mean, there's definitely a lot of good Game Boy games to be there.
I do feel like the N64 makes more sense, though. I mean, it's kind of the next thing people assumed the Classic would be. Like, people kind of skipped over Game Boy, even though there was, like, it could have been a Game Boy. We were like, no, N64 Classic. Like, it felt like more the natural next step. So, I feel like that's kind of what the focus will be.
I agree.
Though I do think Game Boy will come eventually. I think we'll definitely.
Kind of had that on. They had that on the Wii U eShop.
Yeah, they had in the Wii U. I don't know how well those sold compared to the other ones. I'm not sure.
I don't know how they sold, but they were there.
Interesting.
They were there. Well, I mean, there's the perception that those are less valuable. They're less interesting. Like if Nintendo announces, "Hey, we're gonna have GameCube games on the Switch Online service," people are like, "Okay, great." Like we're not.
You mean Game Boy? You said GameCube.
Did I? Ooh, yeah, that'd be like great.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, Game Boy's like, eh.
Yeah.
N64 like, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like that's the general opinion. People will be way more hyped for an N64 emulator there.
I agree.
Than a Game Boy.
Yeah. So I feel like we're pretty much done with this topic. Though, is there anything else you want to cover?
Not really. But if you guys want more information on the deep learning stuff we were talking about, and when we were talking about the RTX stuff and anti-aliasing in the dock, you guys should go check out my videos because I made videos on that.
Yeah.
But yeah. Just gotta get that plug in there.
I have your channel linked in my description, actually.
Heathen.
Yeah. Said I changed the stuff in it.
Change the format there.
A little bit. I need to get your link. Well, I mean, guys, if you haven't seen Brandon before, I feel like most of you have. Most of you already subscribed. But for anyone who's new, please check out Brandon. What About Nintendo? I'm gonna put a link really soon. I'm doing it as we speak. Let me see. Yeah, so definitely go check out Brandon's video. He covers a lot of this stuff. It's pretty interesting.
While you're putting that in, I'll answer a question in the comments. South asks if these emulators would be in a separate application or just mixed with the NES app. The code is in the NES app itself, so I assume they're just going to change the name of the NES app to just something else, like just more like classic app or something. Because all the code for the emulators and all the SNES games, the descriptions are in the NES app, so I assume they're just going to change the name instead of making a whole new app. Because that'd be kind of ridiculous. And it'll just have like sections in there as an NES section and a SNES section.
I would hate it if it's just like NES, Super Nintendo, N64, Game Boy Color, Game Boy Advance, DS. Like that would just drive me crazy.
Separate apps would be so annoying. I think it would just you go into the classic Nintendo games app.
I think they're just gonna update the app to like be a little different. It's not gonna say NES on the top. You can just say Nintendo Online. You go in there, it branches out. Excuse me.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. All right. Well, I think we're pretty much gonna call it we're calling it a night. But I guess to just kind of close things off, Brandon, how much money are you willing to bet that Nintendo Direct is announced tomorrow?
None.
Not a penny?
No. My confidence is shattered. But I do. God, I stick with my video that we're gonna get one this month.
Thank you, 764. I want to stick with mine as well, but
I'll donate the whole, or I'll bet the whole $1 that's currently in my bank account that we shall get it this month.
Oh man, my confidence has been shaken as well.
Yeah.
But when I think about it logically, the facts.
See, you gotta think about it logically, and then think about what the opposite of that is, and that's what
Nintendo's gonna do. Right. Exactly. When I think about it logically, I think there are the historical precedents that suggest that it should happen. That we've gone to January Direct the last few years, or some sort of event in January the last few years. We know Nintendo's probably going to publish a lot of games this year. right? Kind of comparable to last year, maybe a little bit more than 1 game per month on average. So that would it would make you think they would have to announce something for February.
I think Daemon X Machina.
But they could skip a month. They could skip a month. They could skip a month or two, and they could have 2 or 3 in a couple of different months. So that's totally possible. So February could be a slow time. Definitely possible. I think that it's also possible that maybe they'll do another thing where they'll just have a couple more announcements in February like they did a couple weeks ago, where they announced a couple smaller games, a couple ports, stuff like that, a couple eShop stuff, and they don't have an announcement at all early February. Like maybe they wait a little bit longer. But I just feel like we are waiting. Like think about it. Like Nintendo has been maintaining like a general like hype level, and like once all the news kind of like dies down, there's like a cycle. Like we start kind of waiting for the Nintendo Direct. It's like, okay, it's about time.
Yeah, I think we're on the edge of the like we're about to go insane waiting for news. Like we're right on the edge. It's the tipping point. Like we don't get a Direct this week, people are gonna start freaking out.
I don't think it'll be insane. It's already kind of like I think it's gonna be pretty much the same until I think it'll pick up a little bit week by week, but it'll pick up a lot for February, the first week of February, and then if they skip the first week of February and there's still no Direct, then people will be like, "What the hell is going on?"
People are already kind of starting to freak out.
The thing is that some people are kind of like thinking that we got our Nintendo Direct just like through the trailer announcements that we got. They think that was it.
It's not.
Don't agree.
It's no way. It's no way.
It's weird.
Maybe we'll riot at Nintendo headquarters. We don't do good Direct this week.
I don't know, but yeah, guys, just keeping your expectations low it'll be easier to not be disappointed. I don't know. Both Brandon and I, based off the information we've both looked at, we both feel it makes way too much sense for there to be a January Direct. There just hasn't been one.
Yeah.
So, I mean, another thing we didn't bring up yet for this, we brought it up before, but we didn't bring it up today. They took down the Pokemon Direct, the previous Pokemon Direct, and the Nintendo Direct Mini from last year. They took it down. If you check the Nintendo Japanese like Direct playlist, those are missing. Whenever that happens, usually we get a Direct within 20 days. I don't remember exactly when it was taken down though, so I have to double check that.
We're close on the 20 days though.
Yeah, we're like
close.
Like really, like it's like this is it. Like it has to happen. Like
it has nothing this week to be in the trend.
Yeah, pretty much. They skip. I think so. I don't know exactly when, but like I know that it happened in January, and
yeah, I know we were like talking about it the last podcast, so it had like just happened.
And that was 2 weeks ago because we didn't talk last week.
No, yeah.
Yeah.
So.
Man. Maybe tomorrow. Maybe. But literally every podcast we've had in January, we've been like, oh, maybe tomorrow. Maybe tomorrow.
All 2 of them.
Yeah. All 2 of them. Exactly. So we'll see, guys. But anyways, everyone, thank you so much for listening and watching. I really appreciate it. And make sure to check Brandon from What About Nintendo. The link to his channel is in the description below. We both have videos planned this week. Don't worry. Yeah, we have ideas. There's still stuff coming. Good stuff. So we'll see you all really soon. Thanks for watching. Take care. Good night. Good day. Whenever you watch this. Goodbye. Farewell. Adieu. See ya. Wouldn't want to be ya. I like being me. Bro. Yeah. Okay. I'm actually saying bye now. See ya.
Bye. Bye, guys.